Would I be the a-hole if I refuse? Brother-in-law requests that I temporarily move out of my home. My wife and I have been married for over 20 years, dating since we were 16. Before the age of 21, I was a degenerate. I cheated, got in trouble with the law, and I was abusive, never physical, but definitely verbal. I was horrible. This woman never left my side, not once. The day we found out she was pregnant, it was like a switch flipped in my head. My wife kept our baby against her family's wishes. They wanted nothing to do with me. I don't blame them. Her parents and siblings basically disowned her after that. I completely turned my life around, married her, went back to school, got a job, had another wonderful kid, got another degree, and started a business. I make sure she never needs to work a day in her life. My life now revolves around making hers easier. We just renewed our vows last year. Time passed, and my wife has made amends with her family. But to this day, they do not acknowledge me. Again, I don't blame them. My wife's family lost her childhood home when she was around 13, when her parents divorced. It had been in her family for generations. She always wanted to own it again. Over the last decade, I kept tabs on it. About 3 years ago, the house went up for sale, and we bought it. My wife and I have been living there since. The kids are in college now, so it's just the two of us, and life has been very peaceful. Last month, my father-in-law died. Now mother-in-law is alone and needs a new place to stay. One of my wife's sisters never left the house or got married, and currently lives with and takes care of mother-in-law full-time. None of my wife's siblings can afford to take them in. My wife and I had a great idea. Mother-in-law and the sister can move into our house. It was their home once, so it will be familiar. We have more than enough space and funds to support both of them very comfortably, and I thought it was a great opportunity for me to improve my relationship with them too. Recently, I got a call from my brother-in-law. He liked the idea and thinks it's the best case scenario for everyone, except he has one condition. All the siblings want me to move out. As long as their mother is in that house, they do not want to deal with my presence whenever they visit her. They also don't want to feel like they're under my roof. I was ready to say no until he said this, that he and his siblings had to spend years growing up, dealing with the fallout of their parents, losing their oldest daughter to me. The last thing I can give her, he said, is to let their mother have her kids around peacefully in the house. In their defense, my wife's parents did become crazy strict on the rest of the siblings after she left with me, but that was years ago. We're all in our 40s now. They don't care if my wife stays or moves with me, they just want me gone. The family plans to place mother-in-law in a nursing home when her health deteriorates, which we're guessing will be in a year or two. They're not trying to claim ownership of the house. I trust my wife and her family on that. They're just that appalled by my presence and want me to live somewhere else temporarily while they care for their mother in her final years. On one hand, I want to laugh at how ridiculous the request is. On the other, maybe I owe it to that family? Before I give my advice, what is your wife's opinion? This just happened and I don't think wife even knows about it. The impression I get is that wife told them our original plan, and they are still at "we'll all think about it and discuss plans again" phase. I know for a fact wife would be either A, completely shoot the plan down, or B, insists she comes with me. The reason I am getting advice before I even turn to her is I didn't know if I should just tell my wife, "Hey, this is what your brother said, and I'm totally willing to do it," from the get-go, in order to make her feel better about it, if in fact we did decide I will leave. This is the absolute worst thing you can do for your family. This is a bridge too far. They don't deserve anything. You all survived in spite of what they did and how they treated you. They don't get to still treat you like you're that degenerate kid and want something from you. F that noise. You offered something generous, and then they wanted to put caveats on it. You do not do that when someone is offering you a kindness. That they are doing that shows that they are crappy, messed up people that you don't want around you anyway. Dude, the only reason that your mother-in-law and sister-in-law even have the opportunity to live in that house is because you bought it. Your wife's sibs need to grow the heck up and realize that people can change over the course of 30 years. Their refusal to acknowledge the fact that you are a completely different person now than you were back then is totally insulting to you and your wife. They should be grateful that you made the opportunity available. Their proposal is utterly selfish and insulting, not the a-hole. Seriously, he was a degenerate from the age of 16 to 21 years old. At 21, it sounds like he grew up and put his life together. I am honestly shocked that 20+ years later, the family is still holding his behavior against him from when he was basically still a child. These people seriously need to grow up. OP, I get you feel bad for your past actions, but enough is enough. It sounds like you have more than made amends for your early behavior. At this point, the family's treatment of you now is disgusting. They have no right to ask you to leave your house. That is just ridiculous. Don't leave your house. Don't let anyone but your kids stay in your apartment. The in-laws sound like they would not pay any bills because you can afford it, and then claim squatters' rights when it was time to move. You have treated your wife and children well, but your in-laws don't see it and probably never will. Stop bending over backwards for them and tell your wife to stop too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my girlfriend for not telling her parents no? My girlfriend, 23, and I, 25, moved into a house I just bought, a brand new house. And within 2 months of living in it, she tells me that she told her parents they could live here practically rent-free until they get their own place. Mind you, they are not just changing houses, they are being evicted. This is their second eviction in the last 7 years, all due to their poor financial decisions. They are both avid gamblers and have made other poor life choices. They both have an income that amounts to well over what they need to live on, yet they have always asked for money and never seem to have any. I told her that the only way they are going to learn is if we tell them no, and she refuses to do that because they're her parents. I told her that she's enabling them to continue with their bad habits, and that I am willing to break up with her if she doesn't change her mindset on helping them this way. I understand that they are her parents, but I am not supporting them as if they are my children. Is this enough to leave someone over? We have been together for almost 3 years. The house is in my name, and I can afford everything solely by myself. I'll try to answer any questions that may arise if need be. If you let them move in, they will never leave. That's my fear exactly. Don't let them move in, or you'll be supporting them forever. You need to consult with a lawyer as soon as possible. Break up with her and evict her. Don't let them squat. No joke, once you open that door, it's way harder to close it. Getting legal advice early is key because emotions can cloud the situation fast. Breaking up and cutting ties might be tough, but it beats getting stuck supporting them for the long haul. Protect your space and your sanity. If the house is in your name, just kick her out and the 3 of them can go find a place together. Agreed. Letting them all stay when they've shown repeated patterns of irresponsibility only invites more chaos. If boundaries aren't respected now, it'll be much harder to reclaim your space and peace later. If she wants to play landlord to her parents, she can do it from a place they all pitch in for. You didn't buy a house just to become the fallback plan for 2 grown adults who can't stop gambling. That's not a partnership. That's a sitcom setup. Never sympathize with gamblers. You're not wrong for drawing the line. Love doesn't mean signing up to parent your partner's parents. Yeah, too many people confuse love with obligation. Like, yeah, they're her parents, but that doesn't mean OP has to co-sign their mess. If they've already been evicted twice and still haven't changed, what's going to make this time different? Letting them crash rent-free just teaches them that someone will always save them. I get wanting to help family, but at some point, tough love is the only love that actually helps. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my ex-husband and one of his future step-kids come inside? Our custody arrangement is for each of us to pick the kids up on our designated day during a 2-hour pickup window. He arrived at the house, and I already had the boys ready. I saw his car pull into the driveway on my camera, so the boys were already halfway to the door when my ex knocked. I opened the door, and he was holding the hand of a 4-year-old. He asked to come in and said his fiancé's son needed to use the bathroom. I told him I didn't want him to come inside because I don't feel comfortable with him in my house. He has a history of snooping through my things. He asked me to take his future stepson to the bathroom, and I said I was uncomfortable with his situation. He said the boy needed to pee, I suggested the McDonald's up the road. He replied that my bathroom would be way cleaner than a McDonald's. At this point, my 11-year-old started pestering his dad to stop so they could leave. My ex said, "Your brother needs to use the bathroom." My son said, "I'll take him." My ex replied, "No, your mother would rather he pee his pants. We'll go, and hopefully we'll get to the McDonald's in time." My ex and the boys left. He messaged me afterward, saying I was cruel to a child and that punishing him like that wasn't okay. He said I made us both look bad in front of our kids and should be embarrassed by my actions. I've been fighting with him for so long that my perspective is screwed up. Was I in the wrong? Now for the comments. If the kid needed to pee, the ex could have stopped prior to arriving at his ex's. He knows the relationship is strained. Good Lord, he has a 2-hour window. My ex and I, 6 p.m. the end. It's a little boy. He can pee basically anywhere. Point and shoot. My 4-year-old had 3 side-of-the-road pee breaks today. We stopped for multiple bathrooms breaks on the 3-hour drive, but of course peeing off the road is cooler. Reminded me of my nephew. We caught him peeing on his dad's car tire, and when asked what he's doing, he replied that he's watering the car so it would grow to be a bus. Cool as a cucumber 4-year-old. Okay, so I like to ask my husband these scenarios and get his 2 cents. He seems to think, because you have stated you've had multiple problems with the ex, that this was more about control. He wanted you to do what he said. Was the boy hurting and crying because he had to go? If not, my spouse thinks it was a power play by your ex. If it were me, I would have asked my son to take him and told the ex to go wait in his car. But if this douche just liked to jerk you around, then not the a-hole. He was holding my ex's hand and kind of looking around. He didn't say anything. Your son did actually offer to take the kid to the bathroom and your ex declined. Sounds like a power play to me. You can remind that he is not welcome into your house unless it is life or limb, and he needs to organize himself properly before he arrives. Not the a-hole. Time to do exchanges at Mickey D's. That doesn't work because he will be late, and then if I go home, he'll want me to come back and then say I'm denying him his custody time. Judge said he can have a 2-hour window for pickup, but it's not fair to me to have to sit in a parking lot for 2 hours. So this is what was agreed upon with the judge for both of us. It's not perfect, but everything else we tried was worse. OP, does your attorney know your ex is trying to gain access to your house and is pushing the child exchange windows? This, from what you said here, seems harassment. Oh yeah, not the a-hole. He knows about the windows. But I didn't tell him about what happened yet because I'm still processing it. He's already dealing with the complaint my ex made about me taking the boys to see Superman after he told me he wanted to take them. I am so anxious about telling him there's a new issue. Last story. Am I the a-hole for outing my ex-coworker's boyfriend as a sex offender to her children's guardians? So for backstory, my ex-coworker was very vocal about her custody battle for her 3 boys with CPS. To keep it short, there was abuse that resulted in her 3-month-old ending up in the ER with a broken femur and multiple healing fractures all over her body. She has 2 fathers for her 3 children. Her first and third children share the same father, while the second has a different one. There is currently a criminal case against her and the father of her second child regarding the abuse. From what I know, that father is a known meth user and tested positive multiple times during the custody battles. The paternal grandparents of her first and third children were granted custody of all 3 children. She chose to give up custody so that if she had more children in the future, she could keep them and maintain visitation rights with her 3 kids. Now to the title. My ex-coworker, we'll call her Kelly, had a couple of different boyfriends during the custody battle, but her most recent and longest relationship over the past 2 years is with a guy who made me uncomfortable. So I looked him up. He had been charged with 3rd-degree sexual assault and 5th-degree criminal sexual conduct on 2 separate occasions. And based on the police report, it was against a minor. She had been talking about him a lot and eventually moved him into her home, which made me nervous for her kids. So, I found the grandparents who have custody of the children on social media and sent them the information. They thank me and have now made it so that she only has supervised visitation and her boyfriend is not allowed around the children. I felt like that was the right thing to do because kids come first, and he seemed like someone I wouldn't want around mine, especially after what they've already gone through. But when I mentioned it to my mom, she said it was none of my business and acted like I was awful for saying something. Was I wrong for reaching out? Should I have just kept it to myself, or did I help? Not the a-hole. You did the right thing, and don't let anybody try to tell you otherwise. For real, kids don't get a second chance at safety. OP did what needed to be done. Some people stay quiet out of fear of drama. But nah, this was solid adulting. This ain't just gossip, it's public record plus child safety. That dude had no business being near any kid. You did what had to be done. Tell your mother to join the rest of us in the 21st century. You don't mind your business when people, especially children, are at serious risk of harm. There's a very good reason why the grandparents thanked you, not the a-hole. You did the right thing. People like your mom turned their heads when this was going on back in the 60s to 90s and before that. Bad things continue to happen when good people do nothing. I wish there was some way to make OP's mom spend a day listening to what happened to those kids when people look the other way. The harm is real and it stays with you forever. I rarely make this statement, but tell your mother to stuff it. More people in this world need to watch out for children. People know things and keep their mouths shut, and then when something happens, they say, well, I knew that was going on, but it was none of my business, so I didn't interfere. Well, if you knew about it, you should have interfered. It's just kind of annoying when people don't. It really needs to be about the best interest of the child. People either don't do any research or accept the excuses others make for their behavior. And yeah, if they're lonely and don't want to be alone, they're willing to accept anything somebody says. Maybe someday she'll realize that she owed her children more than that, but she would probably benefit from some counseling. Bottom line, you did the right thing. And if your mother doesn't like it, too bad. Am I the a-hole for wanting to break up with him for being a good dad? Original post. Me 30 female and Kyle 32 male had been in what I thought was a good relationship for 3 years. He has children, and for privacy, I won't say anything about his children. He does have an ex-wife around our age and she's all right. We aren't friends, but we get along and she trusted me enough to ask me to do things if they couldn't. We were going to move in together, but obviously not anymore. It was Father's Day that this happened. He spent his day with his kids, and I spent mine with my dad. Out of the blue, Kyle texted me that he will always put his kids before me. Okay, totally unprompted. I was confused. My dad asked me if anything happened, and I'm like, not that I know of. It was weird and I didn't reply because, yeah, I know. You should. I'm still confused. We talk about it like the next day, and he just said I needed to know. I'm like, yeah, but did I do anything? Did one of the kids say anything? Like, help me correct my behavior. Why did you say that when it's to be expected? I know he's a good dad that puts his kids first. It's why I wanted to have my own with him. He kept saying that I just need to know my place in his life, need to know the hierarchy. It was really weird, and there's been no resolution. Now when I try to talk about that, he gets angry and says I'm being petty or jealous, and I always knew the deal. It feels weird to say it, but it almost felt hurtful. Like some type of passive-aggressive move, and he just wanted to start a fight or put me down. If I've never done anything and have been respectful, why say that? I know I don't come first in his life, and it never bothered me until he decided I needed to know that from his own mouth. I'm rethinking the relationship and just removing myself from it. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. He's a weirdo for saying that unprompted. I would take it more as a, you don't really matter to me, and let the relationship go. This is exactly what it feels like. Like I already knew I didn't come first. It didn't need to be said. And everything after felt very belittling, but it's hard to put it into words. Not the a-hole sounds like some weird passive-aggressive stuff to me as well. Did he spend Father's Day with his ex and the kids? If so, that might be where this is coming from. I would demand to know what he meant as well, and would probably break up if he wouldn't explain. I don't think he was with her, but I'm like shaking right now. I never thought he could be cheating on me with the woman he freaking divorced. He just said he was spending the day with kids, but I lost details of that day because of that text. I feel you. That kind of message out of nowhere, with no context, would shake anyone, especially when it makes you start second-guessing what actually happened that day. It's not even about jealousy. It's about the way he made you feel small for no reason. Start looking for a place to live or move back home. Change passwords, close joint accounts, move. Luckily, everything is separate and I still have my own place. Just know that he's going to use you leaving as proof that you weren't okay with his kids coming first. You know it's not true. We know it's not true. But he's going to use that to justify him doing and saying a-hole stuff. Let him. Arguing isn't worth the effort. That's the frustrating thing. I've been trying for days to communicate how and why I'm hurt and what made him text that. He just boils it down to me being jealous that he prioritizes his children. He tries to talk to me like we're fine and I'm the one with the problem. Now for the update. So I dumped him. I tried again for like the 100th time to talk to him. What prompted him to say that? What did I do? He just got angry and said I need to know my place. And why do I have a problem with it when I knew he was a dad going into this? Same old line he's been saying for the past week. I asked if he was cheating with his ex, and I got called insecure, petty, crazy, and other stuff, but I remember those. I didn't even bother asking about hypothetical kids. I told him we're done, and he said he knew I couldn't handle it and to stay away from dads next time. I blocked him, sent his ex a text letting her know, and she saw it but no reply. Which is fine. She'll be blocked too if anything weird happens. I'm going to miss the kids, and that's the weirdest part. They're just gone. The graduations, birthdays, and other milestones gone. So yeah, no more dads for me. I can't say this was a learning experience, it just sucks. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my cheating ex-wife to tell her sob story to someone who cares? I, 40 male, married my ex-wife, Lisa, 40 female, 20 years ago. We were married for 5.5 years and had 2 children together, who are 18 and 16 now. Our marriage ended when I found Lisa in bed with another man after coming home from work. Lisa tried to deny an affair was happening and insisted she had simply offered this guy a place to crash for the night. But even if I had tried to ignore the more obvious signs and believe her, she had sent our kids to my parents' house and hadn't mentioned anyone staying over, so I would have been a fool to believe her. After I filed for divorce, Lisa found out she was pregnant, tried to tell me I was the father and that we should get back together, then said I couldn't be the father, which I already knew because I had a vasectomy and did all my checkups. Then she miscarried and blamed me, citing the stress of the divorce and fighting for custody of our kids as the reason, even though she was the one who wanted sole custody and for me to pay $5,000 a month in child support, which wasn't even possible. She lived with her affair partner, and around this time he got arrested, and she stayed in his house. He served about 2 years, so our divorce was finalized and everything. We had shared physical and legal custody 50-50 and had a court-ordered parenting agreement that spelled out everything. Our kids hated Lisa's husband. He was a POS and highly jealous of the fact that Lisa had to share custody of the kids with me. He was an overbearing drill sergeant with them. He checked their stuff that moved between houses, including their school backpacks. He'd confiscate any food they had with them, even if it was from school. Most of the time, he ate it himself or tossed it in the trash. He'd write notes to me and insist my kids give them to me. Lisa knew all this. The kids complained to her, and it made Lisa complain to me. She took me to court once saying I was engaging in alienation because the kids complained about her husband to her. The judge didn't entertain her beyond letting her make her case in court. Lisa and her husband's personal life was a mess. She found out he lied about having a kid when they met, and he found out he had fathered another kid when he and Lisa were cheating behind my back. Those kids moved in with them full-time, and Lisa tried to sue for more child support, which I did pay some of, but not a large amount, because we had the kids an equal amount of time. My kids struggled with everything, and they'd talk to me. I had to fight to get them into therapy because Lisa refused to consent, and she accused me of trying to ruin them with an expense like that. Even when I agreed to pay the full amount, she said no. But the judge overruled her when I took it to court. My kids were under increased pressure to bring stuff from my house to their mom's house so the other kids could play with their games. My kids hated going to their moms, but my first attempt to get majority or full custody failed. The kids were too young for their voices to be heard also. I did what I could to support and be there for my kids. They grew increasingly unhappy there, and finally, 3 years ago, I was awarded full custody because of the wishes of the kids. By that point, Lisa had 2 more children with her husband, but my kids never bonded with a step or half-siblings and did not care about maintaining contact with them and still wanted to live with me alone. Child support was then changed, from me paying to Lisa paying. She had it reduced once last year due to financial difficulties facing her household. In the last couple of months, Lisa has contacted me a grand total of 42 times via email, asking for financial support and for me to send our kids' old stuff to her house. I wrote back one time, clearly stating I would not, and I ignored further emails. My lawyer has them documented, but that's the most I've done with them. Instead of leaving it alone, she confronted me and tried to tell me this sob story about struggling to feed, clothe, and take care of the 4 kids in her household. But I shot her down and told her to tell the sob story to someone who cares, because her household is none of my concern. Only our children are my concern. She reached out to the oldest too, and both kids blocked her once they realized she would start something. In response to what I said, she wrote a very lengthy email that I skimmed, and she sent a former friend of ours, who sided with her in the divorce, to confront me about abandoning her twice and being cruel. I shut that person down. It was 12 or more years ago when I last saw them. However, I am aware that Lisa is still the mother of my kids. I know they don't care for a relationship with their mother or step and half-siblings right now, but that could change. And maybe I am not creating the best environment for them right now, more specifically because of how I spoke to Lisa when she asked for help. I know all that did was worsen things between us. Does this make me the a-hole? That's what I want to know. Not the a-hole. She is a crappy person. I can't even believe that the court gave her shared custody in the beginning, given she was living with a felon. The court system is truly a joke. If it's not an offense against kids or a domestic incident in the home, it's not something that matters to the courts, at least in my experience. She knows you are a nice guy, but that's why you're a father and good backup. Get a court-approved app and block on everything. Have your lawyer send her a cease and desist letter about any personal contact and a threat of restraining order. Not likely, but good threat. This is where you need to be strong. She gets nothing. If your kids come to you begging to help her, then it's your call. People's actions have consequences. Stay strong, my brother. Your kids are lucky to have you and are a great role model. Set clear boundaries for her. Your focus should be on your kids' well-being. She made her choices. Your job now is protecting peace for you and your kids. Next story. Am I the a-hole for finally snapping at my husband's mom in front of his whole family? So here's what happened. We went over to his uncle's house last weekend. Normal family gathering, nothing fancy. I wasn't even in the mood to go, but he insisted. Said we couldn't keep skipping things or it would look bad. Whatever. I went. Barely 10 minutes in, I hear his mom talking to his cousins in the kitchen. She wasn't whispering, at all. Loud enough for me to hear from the hallway. Stuff like, she's lazy, doesn't even take care of the house. I don't know what my son saw in her. If I were him, I'd come back home. Like what? I cook. I clean. I take care of her grandkid. I've kept my mouth shut every time she made her little side comments. Every time she rearranged my cabinets or folded our laundry like it wasn't done right. Every single time. And now she's out here talking crap about me? Lying even? In front of the rest of the family? I walked into that kitchen, heart pounding, and I just said it. Please stop talking about me like that. You're always making stuff up and I'm done staying quiet. That's all. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. But man, you'd think I flipped the damn table. She froze, looked shocked. Everyone else just went silent. My husband just stared at his plate like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. Then she starts crying, saying I embarrassed her. that I disrespected her in front of the family, that I ruined the night, and suddenly I'm the bad guy? He didn't say a word on the way home. Not one. I asked if he was okay and he just said, "You didn't have to do that." I didn't have to? Are you serious? I've been biting my tongue for months. She's made me feel small, like I don't belong. I've tried to win her over. I've been nothing but respectful, and he knows it. But now he's mad at me? So yeah, I don't know. Was I wrong for finally calling her out? Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Next time you're all together, ask your mother-in-law if there is a return policy on her son. This one is defective as it is missing a spine. Haha, might just ask that next time. Seems like I got the model with all the flaws and no warranty. Tell her you need a refund because the umbilical cord is still attached and hanging out of her vagina. The cost is 50% of the marital assets and 50-50 custody. You'll call the attorney and send the papers. Not the a-hole. You have a husband problem. You shouldn't have had to speak up to her because he should have done it. Tell him to pack up and go back home, and you will send the divorce papers there. He sat there and listened to his mom berate and insult you and didn't do anything about it and hasn't done anything about it. Tell him that you thought you married a man and not a mama's boy. Yeah, a husband is supposed to protect, not stay silent while his wife gets torn down. I'm done being disrespected. I think in a decent relationship, each partner handles the conflicts that are caused by their respective families. Would you let one of your parents talk badly about him right in front of him? Well, maybe now you would. She is a boy mom trademark for sure. She wants him to come home so she can make sure she's the only woman in his life. It's not healthy. No parents should want their kid to be alone forever so they can be number one. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I will feed her kids food they will eat as long as they are dinner guests and she has the choice not to come if that bothers her? My family and I take turns hosting family dinners with everyone about once a month, sometimes more if we're simply looking to entertain. I 28th male like having dinner parties, so I invite them over more. My older sister, 39 female, always accepts the invites, and then she complains that I feed her kids, instead of leaving them with no food because they won't eat what she wants them to. My sister has 4 kids. 2 of them eat with no problems. The other 2, the oldest and third child, are labeled extremely picky eaters and won't touch most stuff. My sister has always believed picky eating is a parenting failure and that kids will stop when it's not encouraged. But her oldest is 9 and her third child is 6, and both are still very limited in what they'll eat and show no signs of improvement or growth. They have to take supplements because they don't eat enough, and there are regular blood draws to make sure they're doing okay. I always cook what they'll eat. My sister doesn't agree with this. She feels they should be having everything or nothing. She doesn't want to coddle a picky eater. I was always clear I would not let a child go hungry in my house, even if they're simply a guest. I rotate between the dishes I know each likes. Soupy chicken fried rice, red pasta with fruit salad on the side, chicken stuffed baked potatoes to name a few. It drives my sister absolutely crazy. This is whether everyone gets the same, or I make her 2 struggling eaters something I know they'll eat. Again, I was upfront about this with her when I started. I told her I would not let them go hungry in my home. She still comes, and she still complains and accuses me of undermining her parenting. She said I should not be feeding her kids things she says no to. I told her I will give them food that they will eat as long as she comes, and if she doesn't like it, she can choose not to come. The rest of our family has my back, which pisses her off even more. I know I could stop inviting her, but I love her kids and love seeing them and being able to help them eat. She confronted me for saying this stuff to her. She said I should be more respectful, that she's a mom, and I'm not a parent. And I'm not showing her the respect I should as the oldest sibling in our family. Am I the a-hole? Why would your sister be angry you make food that everyone can eat? You aren't even making her kids separate meals. Obviously not the a-hole. She wants to make the 2 kids with more limited diets eating more. She wants to end the pickiness, and that means not catering to what they will eat. When they need supplements and blood draws due to lack of nutrition, she isn't listening to their doctor. Not the a-hole. Sounds like an actual parenting fail. Not the a-hole. All of this. Every kid goes through the pancakes and chicken nuggets or 2 other random foods that you are tired of looking at phase. There's more to it if they never grow out of it. Update. Deceased girlfriend's mother threatening to sue me for equity in my home. Original post. My girlfriend and I were together for 7 years. She passed away 2 years ago. She lived with me for 5 of the 7 years we were together. I bought my home a year into our relationship. I was the only one on the mortgage, and now I own the home. I came into full ownership of the home after she passed. My name is also the only one on all bills. My girlfriend did not pay rent. My girlfriend's mother has contacted me and informed me that she intends to sue me for equity in the home, claiming that she has proof my girlfriend invested in the home and paid to have renovations done. We renovated one of the bathrooms and a bedroom, and I paid all costs related to that. She contacted me via her family attorney, who I looked up and don't believe practices this type of law. He appears to specialize in wills and estate planning. She is saying I owe my girlfriend's estate $100,000. I have no idea where she could have even come up with that number. For what it's worth, my girlfriend's mother has never liked me and has been particularly vicious toward me, including an accusation that I was responsible for my girlfriend's death. She died of natural causes. I have not spoken to her since that outburst, which was shortly after my girlfriend's funeral. Her mother was the executor of my girlfriend's estate. My girlfriend's family, including her father and siblings, have always supported me and have denounced her mother. Basically, I am wondering if I actually need to worry about this and what questions I need to ask when I meet with an attorney on Monday. My name is on everything. I can't even find any receipts or anything that has her name on it. The fact that this is coming from an actual attorney has me a bit spooked. I received the notice yesterday. Thanks for your time. Edit. By saying came into ownership of the home, I meant to say I paid off the mortgage. Sorry for any confusion. To clarify some things, no, her name has never been on the deed to the house. And no, we did not share bank accounts. I paid for everything out of my own accounts. The mortgage, the renovations, everything. She at no point contributed to these. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Did she have a will? Who was the beneficiary of her estate? She did have a will. It left everything to her parents. Was she ever on the deed? Your post mentions that you came into full ownership after her death, which implies she was on the deed. What I mean by that is I paid off the mortgage after her death. If your girlfriend was never on the deed, and there is no written agreement or documented financial contribution toward ownership, her estate has no legal claim to any equity in your home. Probate court cannot award assets the deceased did not legally or equitably own. Any claim to equity would have to go through the civil court, where the estate would need to prove she had a financial interest based on something like unjust enrichment or a constructive trust. That is a high bar without clear supporting evidence. It's possible this is more of a pressure tactic than a serious legal claim. If a lawsuit is filed, your attorney can advise whether it qualifies as frivolous and whether it would be appropriate to pursue recovery of your legal fees. Based on what you've described, the claim appears very weak. Since she didn't even pay rent, the mom can't even try to claw back that as an investment in the home. Your girlfriend literally lived there for free, and the mom wants to grift $100K off you? You should file a complaint against the attorney who sent you the letter with the Bar Association and let the mom know you'll be doing it. I'm a lawyer, but not your lawyer, and not licensed in your state. People threaten to sue all the time, especially if they think the person they are threatening has money or will freak out and give them something just so they won't sue. People hear words like lawsuit and 100,000 and freak out. Don't do that. If she contacts you again, just let her know that you'll respond to anything properly served on you, and then stop responding to her. Seriously, block her if for no other reason than for your own mental health. If you're served with a lawsuit, hire a lawyer and go from there. If it were me, I wouldn't spend money on a lawyer just in case. I say that because until you're actually sued and have an actual complaint, a lawyer can only give general and speculative advice on something that may or may not even happen. Now for the update. First, I would like to thank everyone who expressed their condolences to me regarding my girlfriend. It's been a very difficult road since she has been gone. Secondly, thank you to everyone who sent me advice and support for navigating this. I just want to tell my experience. I ended up meeting with 3 different lawyers, 2 free consultations, and 1 paid. I went with all of the documentation I had, and all 3 pretty much told me the same thing. Unless they had something I didn't, they did not see a case where her mother had any sort of claim to try to get anything from me. We even went over Cash App and Venmo transfers, and while she did send me money through those, the money I sent to my girlfriend was more than what she sent me. The attorney I paid for the consultation offered to write a legal response to the letter on my behalf at no additional cost, with the understanding that should she move forward with a lawsuit, I would have to begin making payments toward their service if I wanted to retain them. I agreed to that. They allowed me to read their response and broke down the legal terms I didn't understand before sending it. I agreed, and they sent it. This was yesterday morning. Earlier this afternoon, I got a phone call from the attorney's office stating that they had received a response. The attorney then got on the phone with me personally to let me know that the response they received from her attorney stated that she would not be pursuing the matter further and to consider the matter closed. I know that my experience will not be typical of what may happen with others, but I wanted to make this update and again thank everyone for their support and advice. Mom tried to see if OP was a sucker or a rollover and lost. People need to know you can hire a lawyer to write a letter. It doesn't mean it has any merit or weight. OP says the letter was sent via her family attorney. Chances are the mom spun him some story and he believed her. She has now shown the lawyer that she is not to be trusted. It's such a dumb thing to sue over, to be honest. Even if she had put in money for the house, it's not an estate. It's not marital property because they weren't married. And upon her death, particularly without a will, the estate goes to the owner of it. She had no legal claim on anything. Even if they'd broken up and the girlfriend tried to sue for equity, she wouldn't have been able to. So her mother trying to do it on her behalf is just bananas. Not married, not on the deed. Even if she had put money into it by living there or adding to renovations, it just doesn't matter. It's like trying to sue the landlord of a tenant that passes because they painted the home and added a few additions. So I want to sue for equity. Bananas. Glad he got closure. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister and her family stay in my home, even though I'm hardly ever there? I work at a fly-in fly-out construction site. I get paid very well, and I enjoy my work. But the best part, besides the pay, is that I work 42 days in a row, then I get 21 days off. Like I said, I get paid well for what I do, so I tend to do whatever the heck I want. I bought a truck 10 years ago. It has 32,000 miles on it. I'm never home to drive it. I bought a house partly as an investment, partly as a place to keep my stuff. I'm there maybe 30 days a year. I'll give an example. I just got back from Colombia. I spent almost 3 weeks just traveling around, checking out cool stuff. I'm at my house now basically to drop off souvenirs and to have a little sleep before I go to work on Thursday. When I'm done with this shift, I will be going to Japan for a couple of weeks. So over the course of 24 weeks, I will use my house for maybe a week total, just a couple of days between vacations and work. Long backstory, but it's relevant, I promise. My sister and her husband want to move their family into my house so they can save up to buy a house of their own. They don't want to pay me rent or anything. They say that if they are there, then I don't need my gardener or my caretaker service. They will take care of my house. They aren't homeless or anything. They are both employed people with careers. They just want to save up. I was considering it until they said that they would put my stuff in the garage so they could have their stuff to use, like my couch and such. I like my couch. I like passing out on it. I like my stuff in my house my way. I like that the lawn is always mowed and that my fridge has a couple of days worth of my favorite food whenever I'm in the house. I said no. I told her I would help them with a loan for a down payment, but that my house was not for rent. She is angry now, saying that people like me are the reason there is a housing shortage. I'm not sure how. I don't buy multiple houses. I'm not a landlord. I just have one house that I like to have as a home base. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. If you feel something, just give them some cash as a loan and never expect to see any of it ever again. I offered that. Not the a-hole. They would make you a guest in your own home and put you in the guest room. Possibly, they would have such a sweet deal, they wouldn't want to move out. It sounds like they're trying to take advantage of your generosity without fully considering you. I am willing to wager my immortal soul that they won't save a dime toward buying a home. I'm also willing to bet that the gardening or caretaking services would taper off, and soon OP would be the bad guy for making them into slaves in the home. And once they were enjoying the free lodgings, utilities, and food, it would take dynamite to dislodge them. OP's looking around his lovely happy home and saying, "You know what I could use? A litter of parasites." Not the a-hole. They don't want to be caretakers. They want to be tenants who don't pay rent. And they want to move your stuff out? The audacity is insane. You made the right call. Nah, tenants pay rent. They want to be squatters. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law to stop controlling what we buy for our home? I'm 24, recently married, and trying really hard to build a home with my husband. We just moved into a small rental a few months ago. It's not fancy, but it's ours. Well, supposedly. Here's the thing. His mom lives nearby and acts like she still runs our house. Like full-on CEO energy. Every time I try to buy something for the place, literally anything, she butts in. Curtains? Too dark. Plates? Don't match the kitchen. I once bought a laundry basket and she said it was a waste of money because we could just use the old one from her house. At first, I let it slide. I told myself, she means well, but it just kept getting worse. One weekend, I used my own money to buy a small table and a few kitchen supplies from the market. Stuff we honestly needed. My husband was okay with it. I was happy. Then she came over, looked at the stuff and went, "Who told you that you could buy that? I'm the one in charge of the things here." She basically told me I don't get to decide what we put in our own house. Like, what? I lost it. Not yelling, not screaming, but I told her very clearly that she needs to stop. That she has her own house, her own furniture, her own decisions. This one's ours now, mine and my husband's. We're not her roommates. We're adults, and I need her to respect that. She went silent for a second, then said I was disrespecting her and stepping out of line. She told my husband I'm being controlling and ungrateful. And now, he's weird about it. He's not taking sides, just keeps saying, "Let's not make it a big deal." But it is a big deal. I feel like I'm constantly being told I'm out of place in my own home. I'm walking on eggshells in a space that's supposed to be safe. I don't even want to buy a mug anymore without second-guessing. I don't know. I feel like I snapped because I'd had enough. But maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I should have waited and let my husband handle it. But he wasn't handling it. He never does when it comes to her. So now I'm here, second-guessing myself, again. I told my mother-in-law to stop deciding what we buy for our house and that it's our space, not hers. I stood my ground, but she called me disrespectful, and now my husband's acting weird. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Your husband is either immature or lacks balls. He needs to end this. This is completely unacceptable on your mother-in-law's part. Exactly my thoughts. He really needs to step up and draw the line before things get worse. I'd smile and agree with him. Then when she starts again, "Ah, no. Remember husband said we aren't to make a big deal of this." Then smile and continue what you're doing. If you're shutting her down, you're the one not trying to make a big deal of it while she's needling you. If she has a key, take it back. Rekey the house. Stop answering the door for her. And every time she talks crap, cut her off. You're right. Boundaries only work if I enforce them consistently. Time to follow through. Better yet, ban her from your house. And tell your husband that until he grows some balls to stand up to his mother, he can go live with her. Not the a-hole. Honestly, if this was my husband and he acted this passive about his mother overstepping, I would have told him to go live with his mommy because he clearly doesn't want a wife. Thank you for your perspective. I'm really hoping he steps up soon because this isn't sustainable for our marriage. There's no hoping in this. You need to sit down and have a talk. Not a fight, but a clear talk with him about his mom and her insane behavior. Next story. Am I the a-hole for postponing the wedding when my fiancé was demanding to be paid back the money he paid for his late wife's surgery? I, female, have been with my fiancé Jake for over a year. His late wife died from illness. We were supposed to be in the middle of wedding planning, but something came up and I had to postpone as a response. Jake told me he gave people money, and that once they paid him back, we'd go on a honeymoon. So I understood why he needed the money. It turns out the people who owed him were his ex-in-laws, and the money was for his late wife's surgery. I was stunned. I overheard him arguing with one of the ex-in-laws, and ex-father-in-law was telling Jake that he shouldn't expect the money he willingly spent on his late wife's surgery back. Jake went on about how much he had helped already, and that he wanted the money back. I was shocked. I tried to speak to him about it, and he got defensive. I flat out told him he had no right to demand the money he paid for his late wife's surgery back, and that it was disrespectful not just to the ex-in-laws, but to her memory. He looked at me shocked and said that I was being judgmental. From what I understand, his late wife stayed at home and took care of the house. I feel like it's unfair that he's demanding the money back. He got upset and said that of course he had every right and told me to stay out of it. We argued loudly, and I ended up telling him I'd postpone the wedding since this is how he's behaving. He stormed out and tried to get his friends involved, hopefully to talk some sense into me. I decided to go stay with my mom for a few days. My mom says I shouldn't have gotten involved in this matter and escalated it to the point that I postponed. I want to know if I'm overstepping here and whether I've made the wrong decision. Not the a-hole. Why would you marry this dude after seeing this? My thoughts. If OP gets sick with cancer and is off work, will he demand the money from her parents? Or is it only because his first wife died? He now sees it as a poor investment and wants it back? Either way, she was his wife. In sickness and in health, for richer or poorer. Sounds like he paid. She died, and now he expects to be reimbursed from supporting his wife, as you're supposed to support your partner. Also, would he have expected his first wife to pay the surgery off if she'd survived, while doing all the housework, etc.? Not the a-hole. Did her family agree to pay in advance of the surgery or something? Did she die as a result? He is a walking red flag. Run. I don't know, so I can't answer the question. He told me she died 2 weeks after the surgery.